Zoop and Mobizi. This year, Baba Jobs was sent as a nomination from Bangalore chapter and swept 2 out of the 3 global awards. That's a huge win for the community ecosystem. So that's the kind of innovation that gets funneled out of a platform like this, and I urge you to maximize usage of such a platform. With that, I invite Prakash Saini to lead the OV show and tell. Prakash.
Good afternoon all. As Raja said, I take care of the Forum Nokia India activities. It's good to see you all here again. I'm sure it's going to be an exciting session. Of course, connecting to some of the things what we discussed in the morning. We had an excellent panel discussion on the 3G. Of course, I hope that we will try to cover some of the gaps or fill the dots and see that how it will help in moving forward, especially when it comes to 3G. And especially in areas of building the young entrepreneurs and startup companies. So before I go in, what we'll do is we'll start a video on one of the things that happened recently, just to sort of set the thing up, and then after that I'll show you what is OV and sort of we can have some discussion. After that, of course, my partners will come in and showcase their products. Then you can also have the Q&A during that time. Yeah, Bala. Can someone help me to get my slides here? That's good. And what was that we were showing there? What we were trying to show in the device? That's great. Okay, so what does OV mean? What is the literal meaning of OV? I think you're all well, sort of knowledge and you did your homework, so that's good. So what I'll do is yes, OV Store has been up there for some time. I think it's been there in the market for almost a couple of months. We unveiled this in February during that Mobile World Congress, Barcelona. Of course, the last 3 months have been very hectic to get the content to the OV. But of course, since we have this content available for the end users, so what I'll do is let me share some of the thoughts and ideas, what we're going to do with the OV Store, how it's going to benefit you. So this morning, yes, there was quite a lot of discussion and some thoughts that were shared on the 3G, how it will be useful for India. I think one thing I would like to sort of stress here is, we always sort of undermine the needs of the end users. I mean, what does the end user need here? Is it a technology? Is it something that where it promises high bandwidth? So I think most often we tend to sort of focus on the technologies or the gadgets that are available. Let's say, for example, we have very powerful phones like multimedia computers, what we call. But is it that what the consumers are looking, or is it something different? So how do we see that we make good use of these advancements in the mobile networks that's happening today? We have 3.5G, even 4G in some cases. And at the same time, the mobile evolutions, especially on the handset side. So if you put together these things, obviously you can see that the end user expectations are also changing. Like, but are we giving the due importance to these end users? Like, so with that in perspective, with that in mind, so we always know that end users have a lot of expectations when it comes to mobile services. Like, and yes, there are basic services that we have already provided, and some talk about killer applications. Of course, I would still rate voice as a killer application, nothing more than that, because it's a basic service. But of course, when 3G came into picture, then people are talking about more data services, especially on providing video telephony, of course, video conferencing, because you have that pipe, you have that sort of bandwidth to provide these services. But still, they are part of the basic services. Then you have IMS, which was part of the subsystem that can be part, where operators can deploy to provide peer-to-peer services. Then people talked about fixed mobile convergence. Irrespective of which network you use, people should be able to access to these services, like whether you are at home or whether using, the mobile or your PC. So all these are wonderful technologies. But again, as I said, there was not much emphasis was given to the end user needs. So as I said, the user expectations are always high when it comes to consuming these services. They want more freedom and choice. So are we ready to give that sort of like a choice? Like obviously it needs a lot of effort for everybody in the ecosystem. Like, and it's not about providing a handful of services. As we speak, like there are certain services that 3G can provide. Obviously, like if you talk about 64 kilobits per second circuit switch, video telephony connection. But we have to put what is the practical use of these services, like how many are going to use it. There's a fundamental things, like because again it goes down or boils down to the user experiences, the human psychological aspects. A lot of things come into picture. Like. So I think having said that, that means like yes, there are users who are willing to use the services. The willingness to use is there. But again, if you look at a market like India, so diversified, so segmented, it's very difficult to sort of push handful of services. So we are talking here about a market which is so segmented, and we are not talking about macro, we are talking about micro segmentation here. And of course, each user has multiple roles, profiles, and identities. And today, of course, we are living in the era of social networking, and each user is unique and is having individual and personalized services. So what do we mean by these things? Like, because every individual is different. Like, sometimes we treat that users coming from a particular age group, like 15 to 25, maybe we can target that 10 or 15 services, but not necessarily all the users in that age group will be using that, because they may have their own personalized preferences or individual preferences. So what is very essential is, in order to build this multitude of services, we need to have a platform which is more user-centric. Like